You know those times when you realize when you've been smiling because you feel it slowly fade from your face. Okay. Hi, I'm Annika York. I'm a senior, and this is my first year at Boca High School. And this is my story. So, it all starts whenever I was 7, whenever I moved for the first time from Joplin, Missouri. I ended up moving to Kansas City, and that was the start of a long line of moving. Me and my siblings like to call my mom the nomad because she can never stay somewhere for more than 3 years. So every 3 years we would end up moving, and it led us to the good old town of Mount Dora, Florida, about 30 minutes north of Orlando. And for there, I stayed from 6th grade till junior year. And it was pretty good. It's a small town, so you just kind of know everyone. But I made really good friends, had a really good time, and by the time I was in junior year, I was setting up for my senior year, planning to be valedictorian. I was going to be student government president, and then the captain of all my sports teams, including track, cross country, and soccer. And then I decided to move. So both my parents got job offers at the same exact time to move down to Boca Raton. And they still had their old jobs, so we didn't really have to move. So they came to me asking, hey, we can move to Boca Raton. You can go to this new school. We do not have to, though. Totally up to you. And I ended up saying yes, even though I had all that going for me. I had a really good friend group in Mount Dora, and we would hang out all the time, and it was really fun. It's just the days would go by so fast, and it ended up to where I couldn't even remember what I was doing just because it was such a routine. And I had realized that I had grown so comfortable that I was safe. I felt safe within my comfort zone. And I'm later realizing that it was hindering me and that I wasn't growing by stepping outside of my comfort zone. And so with that, by the time I was setting up moving, it was the end of my junior year, and my depression had reached an all-time high. And it was purely from just having nowhere else to look. And I felt stuck in a town where people didn't even seem like they wanted to grow. I was the only person that really wanted to grow out of my shell, per se. And everyone else was comfortable being stagnant and never achieving much more than the one thing they had planned. So my depression was at an all-time high, and I think this goes for a lot of people, that your depression gets worse as you feel more and more stuck in your life, and like things aren't changing either how you want it to or just aren't changing in general. And so at that point in time in my life, I felt like I was in quicksand. Like I was trying to claw my way out, and it was just pulling me deeper and deeper into the depression, to where it felt my only chance of survival was moving out of the town. So I'm actually really bad at recognizing when I'm falling into a depression. Like, I don't recognize my tendencies half the time. I just feel bleak. Like, things aren't as exciting to me, or what used to be fun, like hanging out with my friends, they would invite me to go out, and I'd be like, I'm not really, I just feel a little tired. Like, and I end up sleeping, like, a lot. Like, I'm just sleeping all the time. And so I realized after a while, like, what happened to me a year ago? Like, I was doing so much. I ended up quitting most of my sports teams. I ended up quitting my cross-country team, which I was going to be like a top runner on, and I couldn't do it. And my brain, I felt bleak, but also my brain felt so full. Like, it just felt like stuffy, like not with things I want to think about. I managed to get out of the depression by having the prospect of moving become available. As near the end of my junior year, I found out I was definitely going to be moving, and I ended up having to tell all my teachers, like, hey, I can't be student government president, and hey, I'm not going to be able to walk the stage or give a speech for valedictorian next year. But I didn't necessarily feel the loss of that. I felt happier to be able to step away and go somewhere where I know, even though I won't be valedictorian, I would still be able to achieve more comparatively. I think some people could probably correlate it to running away from my problems, but I really think living there was the problem, or just how comfortable I was. Like, I can't reiterate it enough. I would be able to have a new beginning somewhere new, even though it was just for a year. it was a year that I could have exponential growth compared to my stagnant D or even decline where I was living. So as soon as I found out I was moving to Boca, I immediately told my mom I wanted to go to the best school in the area, and that happened to be Boca Raton Community High School. Here we are. And so as soon as I found out I was going to Boca Raton Community High School, I started doing as much research as I possibly could. So I started out by finding all the pep rallies on YouTube, and I watched all those. And then I did find YouTube videos from the 1980s from Boca Raton High School, and they're not really relevant. They are just cool if you want to check them out, but they are cool. From there, that led me to actually the paw print that's done by Miss Dominguez. I went through all their prints from last year, and I found all the events that they have at the school, and I think they paint a really good picture of just the student body and all the events that go on. And from there, I found an interview that they did with Mr. Hernandez, and that led me to researching all about We Dine Together, and I became really interested in that club, and I knew it was a really good gateway for me to introduce myself to people at the school for whenever I start. And so about a couple weeks later, my first week of school, I was having a little bit of trouble meeting people, but then randomly I saw Mr. Hernandez walking through the hallway, and I decided to stop him and just ask him how to get involved. And that led me to becoming a leader, and We Dined Together, and I couldn't be happier. It's a very serendipitous way to get involved with the school. I think it's really important to research before you go into any situation, just because it will aid you in any decision you make of how you want to start off. It gives you a really good foundation to build upon and meet people, and that way you're not going into it completely blind. You're able to step in with at least a little bit of knowledge so you can further compound on it. It's also really important because it reduces your nerves whenever you're meeting new people, because it's very uncomfortable. It just inherently is to meet a whole school. If you are someone who feels that you're in a funk, or you're just not really where you want to be, or you just feel a little bit different from you did a couple months ago, I think the best thing you can do is switch up your routine. Just do something different. Do something that makes you uncomfortable. If it means introducing yourself to new people, or going somewhere you have always wanted to but you've been too scared to go, or just trying something new, because the moments you remember are the big moments that are outside of your comfort zone. And I feel like those are what really bring you greater joy in your life, is if you're willing. It's scary, but if you're willing to exit your comfort zone and go and do something that really pushes your boundaries, because that's how we all truly grow in the end. And I think with that, you have to get over your fear of failure, because no one likes to fail. It's never a fun thing. Everyone likes to be right or really good, wants to be the best at it. But to not be afraid to fail gives you a great scope of life and allows you to experience so many new things without worrying what others are going to think of you, just because, hey, whenever you start out, you're always going to be bad at it. Only place to go is up. But I'll end it off with a quote that I think really pertains to this, and it's by David Bowie. I can't tell you where I'm going, but I'll tell you one thing: it won't be boring. Yeah. Sick, cool, rad, gnarly.